This is the Marathon Handbook Instant Reaction Podcast. We're live. We're in Boston. The elite races just wrapped up a short time ago, and we are going to break down everything that took place on this record-setting day. I've got a series of questions for you both.
Okay.
I want to know, we'll get into it in a second here, but I'll set the table. I want to know what your biggest storylines were. I want to know how you think the brands did today. I want to know what the takeaways are going to be in 5 years, 10 years when we look back on the 130th running of the Boston Marathon. I'm going to make you pick the biggest winners and biggest losers of the day. I know you love talking about
I only do winners.
Losers. No, it's all positivity.
It's just the biggest winners and the lesser winners.
That's
Okay,
right,
the lesser
that's
winners.
Right. But let's go big picture here, because there are a lot of big pictures to take in. There's a lot to choose from here. Katelyn, Tocci, what's your biggest storyline of the day from Boston?
Well, I'm going to go with the obvious one, but I think it's the most important. And we're talking a broken Boston Marathon record, because the most recent record was from 2011. That's a really long time ago. It took a while to break this record, so it makes me sit and think that this was not just 100% fitness. It has tons of factors that come together, including weather, conditions on the day, plus the fitness. So why did it come together today? Why was John Career able to get his 2:01:52 and absolutely smash the record by over a minute? Why?
Why?
How?
Okay.
Why? How? No.
All right. Well, I think the question is it career or is it the conditions
Right.
around career?
Or both.
Both, for sure.
It probably is a bit of both.
Yep.
My biggest story of the day is that it actually sat outside of career. I think it was the conditions around career. This year will be known as Fast Boston.
Yes.
There's been Hot Boston, there's been Rainy Boston, there's been Windy Boston. This was Fast Boston. This was a reminder of why Boston is not a record eligible course. It sounds strange because when you think of Boston, you think that it's a tough course. And if you run fast on Boston, you must be way fitter than your time shows. Not always. There are these days where there's a tailwind and you are sailing down the first 15, 20K of hills and your time is amazing. And that day was today. Not to take away from performances, because there were some absolutely phenomenal performances across the board. I just think everyone had a little pat on the back today. And that's great. That's what kept it interesting.
2011, so when Jeffrey Mutai set the previous record of 2:03, it was also a
Fast Boston.
It was the previous Fast Boston.
The Tailwind Boston,
right?
right?
So specifically the Tailwind Boston. There wasn't actually as much of a tailwind today, but it was crisp, it was cool, humidity was low, and there was a little bit of a breeze from on your back the entire way. And boy, did John Career take advantage of it. I don't mean to go chalk here, but I think it's by far the biggest storyline of the day.
Yeah.
We'll get into, I'm sure we'll talk all about Sharon Lokedi and her big win in a second here, but he sets the course record by more than a minute. But not only does he do that, to put this into context, he negative split the Boston Marathon and ran a 2:01 in the process. And he ran, Boston is not a record eligible course, but he ran the 5th fastest marathon in human history. Besides, of course, discounting Eliud Kipchoge's 1:59:40, 5th fastest in history.
Wow.
Which is absolutely bonkers, especially on a course like this where it's legendary for being next to impossible to execute in a negative split capacity. So that's far and away the biggest storyline of the day. Interesting little tidbits here. We've got we're literally recording this just as we wrapped our live watch along show, and our colleagues Jesse and Thomas are both still in the media center, and the elite athletes are just coming through doing the press conference, the post race debrief right now. I'm looking at my Slack as we're recording this instant reaction podcast, and we're getting quotes from the athletes directly from Thomas and Jesse right now. And Career was just on stage a second ago. And he said a couple of quotes here that stick out to me. I knew I'd defend my title, but I didn't know I would run that fast.
Nice.
I mean, it's like it's nice to hear that like there's some human in there, and in terms of the superhuman performance, he's like surprised himself, I guess. Another cool one was that he said, when I crossed the 40K mark, I saw it was an hour and 55 minutes, and I knew I had it in me, referring to running a 2:01 and running that course record and running it down. Yeah, so I think that's the big takeaway. I think it's the big storyline. I'm curious to hear at the end what you think. The very last question we'll hit at the end is, what do you think the enduring memory will be? 10 years from now, when we're looking back, when we're all here together in 2036.
Oh my goodness!
And we're looking back at the Fast Boston. Will that be it? Will it be something else?
It'll be on the list.
So, okay, so that is the big storyline. Best performance of the day, I guess, is that sort of, are we doubling up here? Is it?
There are a lot of really good performances, a lot of solid performances out there.
My best performance of the day, and I know we'll break it down to American, so I'm going to save this guy, and it's a guy, for the American conversation, though I'm not convinced he didn't have the best day. More on that later. Sharon Lokedi, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, it's one thing to win Boston. It's one thing to win Boston twice in a row. And it's one thing to land now on 6 major marathon podiums, almost all of which happening right here in the States. She just has it figured out now.
But this was I think she kind of did this a little bit the hard way. She waited a while, and then we're getting all this feedback from our colleagues in the media center right now, because Lokedi just was on stage talking as well. And it sounds to me like she was lacking a bit of confidence going in. She said that in the race, and this happens to everybody, you start running the race, you thought you did everything right, carb loaded, you rested properly, you tapered, you're ready to go, fitness is good, workouts went well, everything's pointing to a great performance. And then you start the race and your legs feel heavy, you don't feel right, you don't think you have it in you that day. She's literally saying this in the press conference right now. She's saying,
okay,
I didn't feel like this was necessarily going to be my day. And the reason why she went at 32 is because she's was just trying it out.
Well,
And
now we
then
know why
obviously
she
it
held
worked
back.
out.
Yeah, now we know why.
So neat little tidbit here that we're getting from our colleagues. Lokedi went to the start of the race this morning, forgot her watch.
She's human.
Yeah, she's a human too.
She forgot her watch.
Okay.
So that's first thing. Her coach scrambles around, borrows a random watch at the start line from some dude, apparently.
But you don't have your settings?
Some guy in the
You
field.
don't have your watch faces?
Could be miles, could be kilometers.
That's a super stressful situation right there.
And also, this guy, he just lost his GPS watch for the race.
He did. That's right.
I would give my watch to Sharon Lokedi.
Would you, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Of course I would. If she needed it, I would say take it.
I don't know if I would.
I would.
You're brutal. You wouldn't lend Sharon Lokedi your watch.
Listen, looking back, yes, but in that context,
Looking back, yes.
you're relying on your watch, and now you just have to give it away.
Yeah.
Your watch gets to win the Boston Marathon.
Can you imagine?
And you're just left there wondering what your pace is.
Alex, you just
My
hang
God.
on to
I'm
someone else, ask around,
I'm just
follow
saying-
a pacer.
I'm saying this is not as easy a dilemma as you two are making it out to
I
be.
don't know.
If it would happen right before your race, I'm sure you'd both be freaking out.
Yeah, I maybe, but at the same time, it's like what a weird and nifty way to be a part of something much bigger than yourself.
And
right?
it sounds
Yeah.
like Lokedi's people will take care of this gentleman.
Well, I mean, at the very least, he'll get his watch back because
Right.
apparently, they wrote his. I think they somehow either wrote his name down on the watch or took a photo or something like that. Anyway, the guy's gonna get his watch back. We're trying to figure out who the guy is. I'm sure it'll surface on Instagram at some point who this
So
gentleman
selfless.
was. That
What a nice
handed her
act.
it's funny thinking about this now and talking to Lokedi on Friday. I asked her, I was like, because you lived in the U.S. she's lived in the U.S. since she was 18. She ran for the University of Kansas. And she's like, I still run in kilometers.
Right.
She says she tried. She says she's tried. I think it was for New York to remember how to run miles. And she's like, I just like running in kilometers. So when she goes back to Kenya to train, everyone there, it's metric system, everyone there runs in kilometers. And so her watch is in kilometers, even though there's only mile splits for the most part. There's 5K splits, but imagine if she got a watch that was all miles.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. And it's not easy to switch back and forth. You know, I train 90% of the runners that I train work in miles and I work in kilometers. And I always have the conversion chart open because I don't have it memorized. I'm still not comfortable.
Also, did I see that she's a Garmin athlete? So that means that her
watch was a Garmin.
Was a Garmin, right? But her handler would have had to like fish for a Garmin in particular, right? Like you can't just grab
grab any watch,
or a Koros.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay, so. Wow. Next up on our list here. Oh, did you do best performance of the day? I feel like I'm jumping around here.
No, but yeah, we did.
Let's, before we get into the Americans, I think we're still international. I asked you both this to kind of contemplate this during the live watch along with John Career's performance.
Yep.
5th fastest all time. Now he's run 2:02 twice, and he's run 2:01 once, and he's won Boston twice and Chicago once in Valencia. We've talked for a while now about this emergence of the trio, like the three guys are the 3 best marathon runners alive running right now, and that's John Career, Sebastian Sawe, Jacob Kiplimo. Where on, April 20th, right after the finish of the Boston Marathon. It's maybe a recency bias take here, but where do you power rank these 3? Who's your 1, 2, 3 right now? We got Sawe and Kiplimo racing each other next week in 6 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because John Career just surpassed Sawe's PR.
Right. That's right.
So this is it, because I would have said, if you had asked me 4 hours ago, I would have said Sawe. I'd say that he's the one that I feel in London is going to break 2 hours next weekend or this coming weekend now. So I'm not so sure anymore.
You got to rank them. So
okay, I'm going to rank them. I'm going to still go with Sawe for 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to put John Career number 2 and Kiplimo 3.
Wow. Okay.
So let's not get too caught up in recency.
Yep.
I tell myself, but I am giving Career number 1.
Okay.
I think Career has a rare talent of being able to time trial a race very well, and now he's shown that he's very good at weird tactical races too. Boston was fast Boston, yes, but you're still negotiating the hills.
Yep.
He ran it so smartly. At one point in the race, Mengesha took the lead, dropped everyone. Career covered his move eventually, ran with him for a while, and then coasted before really blowing the doors off everyone. It just looked like he was a man in control. And we saw that in Chicago before. We've seen that in Boston now. I think he's your number 1. It's funny because when you ask the pros that question, and they tend to give Kiplimo the edge. Mm-hmm. And I think that Kiplimo has maybe the most potential because he's got the most speed and he's the fastest over half marathon. And we'll see what happens in London next week. But I think right now Kiplimo's my 3 and Sawe's my number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Sawe, John Career, Kiplimo. You know what? As I'm thinking about this, it's becoming a toss-up. I think it's really a negligible difference between these 3. My gut tells me that Sebastian Sawe is still the guy. He's still the guy to beat. I still feel like he's the guy with the most upside, and he's the guy that if I were to bet on it, I would bet he would be the person running under 2 hours in the marathon if anyone's going to do it in the next year or 2. But man, like pound for pound, that John Career performance, even with it being a favorable day with a tailwind, it's still Boston. And that's a wild 2:01. That's a wild performance by him.
And if it's a favorable day, it's a favorable day for everyone. So, and he still was able to break away and just dominate the end of the race.
Yeah,
so.
Alphonse Simbu and Benson Caputo are no slouches.
No.
Exactly.
So let's break down the Americans. Because there was a lot to talk about.
There's a lot going on.
Both the women's race and the men's race. Let's start with the women's race first, where I think the storylines are a little bit more clear cut, just because there's this like slew of performances on the men's side that I'm still struggling to wrap my mind around. But on the women's side, I think it's safe to say there's like an A and B storyline, and then there's like a kind of a couple of other items to unpack. But I think Jess McLean's top 5 performance, 220. I'd say it's fair to call it a breakthrough performance for her.
Yeah.
I feel like she's breaking through a little bit with every performance, though.
Yeah.
But just such a solid performance today. That's the number one American women's storyline for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she deserved it. She has really kind of gotten not the luck of the draw this past year, I guess calendar year, ever since, the stories you guys were talking about during the watch along and going to the Olympics and not being able to participate, and then also getting led the wrong way in the half marathon. And I mean, now it's like, okay, this was Jess McLean's moment, and she really took it in stride. Sorry, no pun intended. Her smile coming through the finish line. It was just an incredibly strong finish. Watching her in the final kilometers, she didn't look like she was suffering at all. She looked like she even had more gas in the tank.
She looked really comfortable.
She really did, right? It was impressive. And so I think it's her time. She's worked so freaking hard for it and just had a sensational day.
She did note here, we're getting quotes from the press conference right now, like in real time when we're doing this.
Yeah.
So she said the tailwind played into the approach. If you're going to go for it, today was the year to do it.
Nice.
Which I love that sort of like go-getter mentality she's got. She said before the race in the press conference on Friday, she said, I'm going to take big risks, and when it gets tough, I'm going to dig in, which, is something like you should like write on a t-shirt for marathoners. I would say the question now with Jess McLean becomes the resume is starting to really come together. She's also really a reliable performer as well, big game performer in the big moments. Who's the best female American marathoner running right now?
That's a big question. And Emily Sisson had the opportunity to solidify her standing there, because I'd say that before the race, on paper, it was Sisson. On paper, it's still Sisson. No one else has run 2:18.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. That was 2022. Sisson today finished 9th, not second, but 3rd American behind Annie Frisbee, who, that is a secondary story, had a massive day.
That was the second story that I sort of teased out a second ago there.
But I'd say that right now, if there's one marathoner that I want to watch and one that I'm starting to just find myself rooting for, it's Jess McLean. It might have to do with the fact that we had her on the podcast and we got to know a lot of her backstory. And I think if there's a common thread around her, there's a confidence about her.
The confidence, but there's also like, for lack of a better term, a normalcy about her too, where she's just kind of like, she's just a person who's got a pretty sort of good head on her shoulders, like pretty smart, decent, open-minded human being who's also willing to take big risks in the marathon. So it's like, she's an easy person to root for sure.
Yeah. Well,
and if I'm not mistaken, I think, Alex, when you asked her in the press conference, I loved her confidence because you said, well, who's going to win the Boston Marathon? You were asking everyone. And she said, well, I am.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how you need to go into a race. You can't, even if, you can't say, oh, I'm not sure. And this, no, you have to be confident and say, I'm going to give it the good old college try and it's going to be me.
Yeah.
And I mean, look where that got her.
And it's funny, you'd hear someone like that say that a few days before the race and you'd think, well, that's like a bit of an inflated ego and a bit unrealistic. But then you fast forward to 20 miles into the race and she's in the mix with a couple of the fastest runners in the world and she's looking great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? She finished 5th overall. She moved up 2 slots in the last 4 or 5K. So she definitely wasn't falling apart in the end. Yeah, I think it's a big question. I feel bad for Fiona O'Keefe, who was a scratch before the start of this race with a hamstring issue. Mm-hmm. She was my pick to win the whole thing going in. I think if she can somehow find a pathway to staying healthy on a consistent basis, she could be the best American distance runner right now. But health is a huge factor in this. And if you can't stitch together a few good seasons, I fear for a situation where it's like you look back and you're like, what could have been, but didn't happen. But hopefully that's not the case. It's only one injury. She's had a couple now, but hopefully she heals up and runs well in the fall. So men's race. Oh, and Annie Frisbee.
Shout out to Annie Frisbee.
If there's a prize for, we said this in the watch along live stream, if there should be some sort of like like unofficial badge of honor or prize that goes to the person in the race that kept the race honest, especially at Boston when there's no pacers. Any Frisbee, I guess Susanna Sullivan gets that moniker for the first half of the race. Annie Frisbee did all the dirty work, all the hard work in the second half, and didn't get played either because she ended up running an excellent race and finished strong as well, and has the second best American time on the day.
Yep, 2:22 flat.
Yeah, really solid race for her. You can't be. I'm sure she's like over the moon happy about that.
Of course,
like, being in the mix. Okay, so the men's race.
Men's
American performances were, Alex, what they were, ...
They were trailblazing. They were
trailblazing. Yeah.
Okay.
So, here's a funny stat. 5 American men broke 2:06 today. Before today, only 3 American men broke 2:06 ever.
Ever.
More men broke 2:06 today than there were men to ever break it before that.
Wow.
This was a fast day for everyone. This was an incredibly fast day for the American men in particular. The big difference between the men and women's race, it was a day to run fast for everyone, and some women capitalized on it in the second half, but so many men ran good times, and more men did because they went out hard. And
That's true.
By the halfway point, they were set up much better to run crazy times. And I mean, shout out to those Puma gentlemen, Rory Linkletter and Hendrik Pfeiffer, taking it out really hard off the start, and then Mengesha taking it after that. And so it was like, okay, all these American guys are set for good times. So it ended up like, good God, a
lot of PRs out there today.
203, 204, 205, 205, 205. So yeah, like trailblazing, is there a stronger word?
I mean, I think that's accurate. Yep. I think that I'm blown away by Zuhair Talbi's performance. Recently became an American citizen in the last few months. In his first race as an American citizen, he becomes the 3rd fastest marathoner in history, American history, the 2:05. And he's like, you know what? 2:05 is pretty good, but I could do better than that. And it was in the mix all the way through the end, survived that big surge by John Career, and came out with, just one of the all-time great American distance running performances.
You could arguably call it the great American distance running performance.
Right. Yeah. 2:03:45.
But even then, I don't even know if his performance was the most impressive for an American relative to what we were expecting. I need to talk about Charles Hicks. Can we get into Charles Hicks?
Of course.
Sorry.
24-year-old, British American, 2-time European U23 cross-country champion, i.e. good for a kid, okay? A good runner for a kid. Signs with Nike, pro debut. On your pro debut, you'll usually run a 2:09 to 2:12. I think that's kind of what I was expecting for him. Maybe a 2:08 on a fast day like this. Guy goes 2:04, 2:04:35. His personal best in the half marathon before this race, 62:10. Crosses the half marathon mark today, 61:55.
Just a half marathon PR too to throw in there.
Imagine that.
No.
You're midway through Boston, Newton Hill's awaiting, and you just drop a half marathon PB.
I would be absolutely terrified.
Me too.
If you go through half and you're like, I've never seen that on my watch before. You're like, this is going to be interesting in the second half. Clearly, he's done some extraordinary training. Yep. Clearly, he is an absolute beast and a talent and somebody that we must watch.
Yep. And
I'm super excited to see how he and Talby race in the fall. What could Charles Hicks do on a Chicago course?
Right. Imagine on a flat course.
Oh
so one hot take. I don't think Chicago will be faster than this.
You don't think so?
I think Boston plus tailwind equals Chicago. I think if you put all these runners on the Chicago course today, they don't necessarily go faster.
I think that's maybe a fair assessment, actually. Although this is a course that you still need to figure out how to run it in a certain way, and clearly,
even with good weather,
clearly these guys have figured that out. And also, we should say Clayton Young, big performance by him today. He's gone through so much. He had a major injury coming out of the end of last year. It didn't even look. I quite honestly didn't expect that he was going to even do much today because it was a very abbreviated build. He's been quite transparent about it. And then he went through this big transition where he parted ways with his longtime sponsor, ASICS. Like he was an ASICS guy. And he's moved on. He's his own agent, so he negotiated his own deal with Brooks. He's doing all these things behind the scenes. I spoke to him at length last year about his entrepreneurialism. We chatted a little bit this year about it as well. And he just when I saw him on Friday and we chatted very briefly, and I was like, the Brooks thing is crazy. How did that go? And he was like, it was a lot. It was a big, big deal. And it was a lot. The whole process was a lot for me. So I thought to myself, like, this guy has just got too much on his plate. And then he goes out and he runs the race of his life.
Wow.
So,
well, good for Clayton Young. A couple more shout outs just on the American side of things. Ryan Ford, quickly improving marathoner, broke onto the scene this weekend last year when he ran 2:08. After that, on borrowed shoes. He had no proper super shoes, I guess.
So really, crazy. Yeah.
Right? Then he signs with On. Today ran a 2:05.46. Beat his own teammate Joe Klecker by just 10 seconds. Great run by Klecker himself, 2:05.56. Rory Linkletter, Canadian, 2:06 low, roughly close to what he's run before, but sometimes they say you're not a 2:0 whatever runner until you do it twice. So Rory's like quite locked into that low 2:06.
And showing that he's
race.
like a really great Boston guy as well, Boston performer. Man, it's crazy that a 2:06 low from Rory Linkletter, it might get kind of like lost in the shuffle of all this conversation.
Can't believe it.
Top American performances as well.
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
28, did we say this? 28 men under 210. That's the crowning
28
statistic.
men under 210.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we were saying in the live watch along, 10 years ago, the 2016 Boston Marathon champion was Lemmy Baranu. Last guy to wear non-super shoes in a Boston win. Last person. And he ran 2:12.
Oh.
There you go.
That would land him not in the results page for the elites anyway. Wow.
So, before we pivot out to the bigger picture of the 130th Boston Marathon and talk a little bit about what it was like to be here for the weekend, what the major storylines outside of the elite races were, let's do a little snapshot of, and this can encapsulate anything outside of the elite.
Right? Okay.
Let's do Katelyn's her favorite segment, the winners and losers of the 2026 Boston Marathon. We'll start with winners. We'll get you warmed up. Who are your big winners, Katelyn?
Marathon Handbook. The team.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
We're gonna brag ourselves.
Patting ourselves.
Well, at least
on
you're
the
not calling
back.
us a loser.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Oh my God.
I think we need to give ourselves a pat on the back. We have our entire team here. Our team has grown. This is much different from last year. I think we've been keeping our listeners and our followers. I mean, with play-by-play Boston action, you want to know we were there for you.
You're getting a little sort of smile from Dylan, one of our video producers.
I always do this though. I always have to mention us at some point about the team because the team is just so great. So I just want to give us a really quick pat on the back. I think everyone's done such a great job. We had a ton of people in our shakeout run. A lot of people came out to see us at the Mile Zero show. It's been a really great breakthrough year for us as well. So
shout out to everybody who came out to both the live shows and the shakeout run. The shakeout run was like this moment where I was like, oh, this is real. There's a lot of people to be shepherding down to the Charles River right now. So that was weird and wonderful and wild. Yeah, and it was also
and cold.
Pissing rain and kind of cold. I was like, you guys are amazing. You're here. I guess, they had to do it. Yeah, they had to get the shakeout run in. They were running the race the next day. But thank you for coming out. If you came to any of our events, we really appreciated it. We put a lot of hard work in behind the scenes, and it's been this project we've been growing for the last couple of years, and we put everything into it. So give me another winner outside of us doing our own little victory dance here.
Oh boy, can we go around and then I'll give you another one?
Yeah, I'll let you. We'll vamp a little bit for you.
All right.
You guys give one.
Sear, besides yourself, you're gonna bring it down even. You're like,
I think
Alex
Sear Marathon Handbook, yes, but specifically me, because I think that you know what? I'll leave you career in Loketti because we've gone on about them. They've absolutely killed it. I'm gonna double click on Jess McLean. Okay, if you didn't listen to my conversation with her, here's like a brief Cole's notes. Jess McLean is like a 2-act professional athlete. She was a really good college runner who went straight into the pro world because she was a young kid who's good at something. That's kind of what you do. And things just weren't quite clicking. She was getting injured. I think she also, and this is me playing armchair psychology after one conversation with her, but I think she also felt like she wanted to see what else that she could do in life as opposed to just being a pro runner. So she stepped away, spent a couple years just running on her own, taking some breaks, having fun, and then chose to come back, found some success, slowed things down a little bit, signed with Brooks again, changed the way she was working out, changed coaches, started doing she does 1 to 2 workouts a week. She's like a low worker outer.
Low worker outer.
She went through
That's a technical term.
That's a technical term.
Yeah,
like slower downer.
Well, lower intensity, right? And I don't know. I just think a lot of what she does demonstrates a confidence, right? Like you need confidence to work out once to twice a week as opposed to 3 times. You need confidence to change up your training plan. You need confidence to step away from the sport and come back. You need confidence to hold down a job beyond running and not feel like you only have to be a pro runner all the time. You need confidence to run with the best runners at the Boston Marathon. You need confidence to go with the surges today. You need confidence to be at the press conference and be joking around with the reporters who can be jackasses sometimes, like us, like me. All of what she does exudes some confidence. And I think that after a couple things that were out of her control, being let off the course in Atlanta, not getting to compete at the Olympics where she was shuttled in at the last minute, she owned the day today.
Yeah.
And you want to see that from athletes. And so I think she should go home with her head held high.
Very.
Big winner. And props to Jess to stick around, to show up, and to deliver what I think you said it, right? I think it was the performance of her life.
I would say so. And so beyond that, I would say this is kind of a weird and maybe obvious one. I think the Boston Marathon is a big winner today because I think Boston needed a fast Boston. It's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
The race, because of when it's situated in the year, it often kind of jumps you with a very hot third or second hour, depending on how fast you're running. And it's obviously a very tricky course. And that we got a very fast day from a lot of people. I'm sure we're going to hear back from people in the Marathon Handbook sort of greater atmosphere, our community of fans and friends. And when we start looking at all the results going all the way back to the middle of the pack and beyond, I bet you there's going to be a lot of really good performances. It was kind of a no excuses day, I guess. And great conditions. You can run fast on this course. And I think also it was just a really good year overall. The elite fields were good. I think from an elite perspective, Boston maybe quietly sometimes has a tough time selling itself to certain types of elite runners, those who are looking to run really fast as well. And you look at Helen O'Beary this year, she decided to go to London because she wanted to see if she could run a really fast time. I wonder if she's little bit regretful now of that.
Maybe.
So this was a big shot in the arm for Boston this year as an event. Okay, I've vamped enough for you.
Oh, yeah,
What's
sure. Okay, I've got another one. But I think, I got a fun one. I would like to say some big winners for me are Wesley, Alex, and Mercy from the Hoka team.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Who were the best sports in the whole world when we went to interview them. We're having a competition. They danced for us. They sang for us. We had such a fun time. No, as in playing around and just being. Oh, there we go. Just being the absolute best sports. Great people, and they all did incredibly well in the race today. They're all. I mean, we didn't even talk about them yet. We've got a 2:05 up there. We've got Wesley in at 2:07, and we've got Mercy. Where did she come in?
Mercy was fourth.
Mercy
so I
was
doubt
fourth.
that she even remembers our shenanigans.
She doesn't remember us,
This
of course
is,
not. But
I think this takes priority. So fourth and 2:20.
Fourth, yes.
So I actually know their coach Jack Mulaney well enough, and I know they work very hard. And he was hoping for a good performance from Mercy. He told me in confidence. She's fit. She's ready to
Oh,
go.
yeah.
They were totally right.
She
So,
did
yeah,
an
shout out to
amazing
them.
job today. So shout out to the Hoka team.
I'd say also, like a couple other quick ones. We've already sort of talked about it at length, so we don't have to go into detail here. But obviously Charles Hicks, obviously Zuhair Talbi, obviously American distance running, full stop. I think some of these brands did really well by this. We're not going to talk a lot, at least not a lot of positive about Nike in this podcast, because we'll get into this in a second. We talk about pre-race big storylines. Like the weirdest thing about this Boston Marathon was we'll talk about it in a second, but it was for lack of the Nike controversy. But we'll get into that in a minute. But quietly, Charles Hicks, Nike athlete,
Yep.
new star for them.
Yep.
Just like Nike, just slyly sliding in another young top American talent.
Yep.
Who can run super duper fast and is positioned to be a guy for them. And so, like, even though they didn't get on the board in terms of podium finishes with the shoes, we'll do a brand temperature check in a second here, where the brands are all at. Nike quietly did very well with a couple of its athletes, including Charles Hicks.
Did get a bronze with Noguchi Cooper.
That's right. Noguchi
Yeah.
Cooper is a Nike athlete. Okay, so lose.
Oh, I don't wanna do this.
Oh, you've got to, though. It's part of the contract, Katelyn Tocci.
The contract.
And when we say biggest losers, we don't mean personality. We don't mean these people as people. We just mean the person who had the most to lose and unfortunately did lose whatever that is. And it's a totally subjective. This is entertainment. So
Okay, fine.
Do you remember the show The Biggest Loser on NBC?
that was like that was a different era altogether.
Wow.
Does that show? Could you do that show today?
No. There was a documentary about how crazy it was. It's
like,
now in like Netflix
unhealthy.
documentary of like, wow, imagine
it's-
what happened 10 to 20 years ago. Yeah. It's like
Yeah, we used to make
people
TV
losing a
like
bunch of
that.
weight.
Yeah,
You guys hearing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
The screams coming from
Yeah, it's like going.
Yeah,
through-
'cause we're close-
Boylston. We're very close to the finish line here. It's impressive.
it's true. You can hear the screaming.
Wow.
Okay, so who's somebody who had something a lot to lose and then unfortunately lost it? this weekend?
We can say in general anything that kind of let us down, which to me I feel like last year as well is kind of going into the expo and not getting the same feeling I get when I'm in like the New York or the Chicago Expo. And so I think that, there was the 100-mile treadmill world record going on at Paulson, right? Correct? Which was very interesting and very fun to watch and exciting. However, I feel like the expo could open up. We could have a little bit more going on in there because you go into the crazy Adidas store, you can't even walk around. I think there needs to be a way to amplify that a little bit because I feel like people are getting stepped on. They're nervous they're going to twist an ankle before the marathon. It is chaos in there, and so I guess maybe it's a detail, but it's something that I would really like to kind of get cleaned up a little bit. Because I feel like it could be a much nicer experience. You get your bib, that's an amazing experience. But once you walk into the second part of the expo, it could be a little bit different.
The Adidas, it's not a booth. The giant Adidas store
The store.
is a bit of a gong show. No, that's not their fault that people want their stuff
Right,
and want the
of course.
Boston stuff badly.
Yeah.
But it is like
Chaos.
it's consumerism in full effect on 1,000%. And there's some nice stuff there, but
Of
you can
course.
order a lot of that online as well. It's a very stressful experience.
Jesse and I tried to, and we're probably going to put out a reel about it. We grabbed a lot of stuff that we liked, and we wanted to shoot it and show it to the audience. It was almost impossible to get our hands on some of the stuff because of the congestion and the chaos in there. So I think that experience could improve.
I think it was a miss on Adidas' part in retrospect not to launch the Adios Pro Evo 3
Okay.
in Boston
That's a
because
good
it
one.
turns out that this may be a faster day than we're going to get in 6 days in London.
Good one.
Are you
He stole
stealing,
it.
Are you stealing my loser?
We have like a hive mind thing going on.
God.
So-
He's
Too much-
looking at your computer screen, Alex.
Yeah,
at your
hive
notes.
mind. You're looking at my Google Doc.
I'm stealing your loser. No, I got
You
more
stole
losers.
it.
Listen, I got losers all day long if you want me to keep going, okay? So
So you're gonna give me my loser, or do
it.
I have to take another one?
Take it. You can take it.
You've got plenty, Michael.
Adidas.
Adidas.
I'm conflicted by this because
Yeah.
on some level they're so intertwined that a good Boston Marathon is good for Adidas. If the Boston Marathon won, then Adidas also won in a certain
right.
way.
That's
but
right.
I think you're right that they totally missed the mark with their shoe. When we talked to their reps at the expo, it sounded like things just didn't happen on time. Like they weren't able to get the shoe ready for Boston, but that athletes will have it on their feet for London. It was like, how could you not have just have been like 1 week earlier? This was the time to do
I
it.
know.
And the issue with Adidas is that they're ranked super high. They're on a huge perch right now. In 2025, they dominated the major marathon podiums. If you added, so we kind of scored it. So we went through all the major marathons plus a few consequential marathons, so including Valencia being one of them, and the World Championships as well, and we scored it. If a shoe brand had a gold medalist, we gave it 3 points. Shoe brand, silver medalist, 2 points. Bronze medalist, 1 point. Then we tabulated the points. Just a way to see which shoes dominated. Adidas had more points than the second and third ranked brands, Nike and Asics, put together. It kind of flew under my radar that they were dominating so much. And today, one podium finish. Benson Kipruto, who arguably underperformed.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put him biggest loser, but he's kind of in the mix for like somebody who, like, okay, yeah,
How dare you.
I'm gonna throw him in there. I think Benson Kipruto unfortunately was kind of had stuff to lose today and lost it, which is he skipped doing London and going after that fifth
It would've-
world marathon major
would-
title he
yep.
could have scored because he's won Boston, he's won Tokyo, he's
New York?
won Chicago and New York.
New York, yeah.
And so he just has Berlin and London,
And London, yeah.
left to get the original group together and really to cement himself as one of the great marathon runners in history. And he opts for Boston instead. He's a past champion. And he finishes in third. He didn't really have it the whole time, right?
He didn't have the
He was
kick at the
tracking
end either.
whole time,
yeah.
but he didn't have it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he has a podium spot. You can't knock a guy for a podium spot,
No.
but at the same time, kind of felt like it was a missed opportunity for him. in a
Yeah,
couple
and he
of
was my
regards.
pick.
Yeah, and he was your
He was my
pre-race
pick, of
as
course.
well.
Yeah.
Some other ones without dwelling too much on things like Fiona O'Keefe because of the injury. It just felt like maybe this could have been her day today. That's
Yep.
really sad.
I have one, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be popular, and I'm not calling this person a loser by any means. That this is not what we're doing. Just remember that. Because I talked to her at the press conference. I really enjoyed chatting with her. I think she's like such a talent. I wonder if Emily Sisson is wanting more.
That was on my list too.
I wonder if she wants more. She finished 9th. I mean, look, top 10 performance, 222. That's a good performance. But for someone who's run 218, you got to wonder, does she feel like there's a step that she could be taking that it's just not happening? And is she going to make a change? It's not all about shoes. I asked her what shoe she was wearing. She's wearing the New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp Elite 5, so the New Balance Super shoe, not the 6, which is like, I think, on the way for athletes. And, I wonder, maybe, I don't know, is it the shoe? Was there an injury in the build? Like, a 222 for anyone else would be fine.
Yeah.
I know how talented she is, and I wonder if there was something more there.
It's like in professional team sports when the Super Bowl is over, you find out that Drake May had the torn whatever, or like they have surgery right after the Super Bowl ends. You do wonder with someone like Emily Sisson, it's like, was she 100%? Was the build 100%? Did it go well? And if it did, I mean, that's just really frustrating for her. Again, a decent performance, but when you see what everyone else did on the day and you know her talent level, you start to look at like 2020 Chicago 2022. That is going on 4 years ago, and I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was a real standout performance in between then and now. I mean, she did well at the U.S. Olympic trials to get her to the Olympics, but we just had a segment about this a couple minutes ago. It's like, who's the best female American distance runner, marathon runner today? And you could really argue that it's not her right now. And it's a shame. Again, one little footnote in history here. She came second in 2018 or 2022 when she ran the 218. Who came first in 2022? Ruth Chepngetich.
Ruth Chepngetich.
There you go.
Oh, so
She could have the year of the 209, but
Nope.
But another
Ruth
year.
Chep- yeah.
She could theoretically, in a parallel universe where doping control is better, who knows? Maybe Emily Sisson would have been a winner of a world marathon major.
Yep.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
This is the curse of doping.
Wow.
Okay. A few more for you here. So do a little hinge point here. It's always fun to think about this. Like, there's so much hoopla before Boston, before the race. We were here since Thursday covering it. And then there's the race, and it kind of changes the dynamic and the narrative the entire weekend forever and stamps it. What's the biggest pre-race story, and what's the biggest post-race story?
Alex, go with what I know you're dying to talk about. You want to go first?
Are you talking about the Nike thing?
I was going to mention Nike.
Oh,
I
that's
think that
funny.
was one of the biggest pre-race stories that we couldn't stop talking about, which we think was Nike's ploy.
So if you're watching right now the YouTube version of this or on Spotify, the video version of this, on the left is this is a guerrilla marketing campaign that Nike has had actually going for a couple of years now, and they've had problems with the wording of some of their statements they put in these ads in the past.
This isn't the first time.
Last year in London, they put out one that was like, I can't believe it got through a number of people and got printed and put up.
Past
but
the
it
editing
did.
team.
Insane. This one here, interesting that it became such a hot button topic. Basically, if you're listening instead of watching, it was like they put this sign up at their Nike store on Newbury, where all the pop-ups are, their big Nike town. It said runners welcome, walkers tolerated, and everyone piled on. And then there was a reaction against the reaction, and then a reaction against the reaction against the It was insane. Everyone was talking about it for a couple of days. They took the sign down. On the right-hand side, you see here, they removed the sign. And then we started seeing counter programming. Brands were taking advantage of this.
Of course.
And doing this like, here at ASICS or Ultra or even Crocs. We came out of the subway system here in Boston to come do our live watch-along show this morning. And overnight, Crocs had put up posters on construction sites basically saying, everyone here Crocs welcomes all types of people wearing Crocs, and it's like,
and it was like if you want to run, like, you can put the little strap in the back, and if you want to walk, you can put the strap in the front.
Gibbets person, no gibbets, we don't judge. With turbo mode, slow mode, we're good. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it kind of got a little bit silly.
Well,
to be frank,
it was all silly. Like a lot of these things, like you look at the people who are commenting and it's always from 1 degree of separation. These types of people might get offended if they see it. Like I want to hear from one person who's like, I saw that slogan and it made me really upset because I identify with it. It's always like, you're going to hurt this group. You're going to hurt that group. A lot of it's performance. And what the brands did was also performance. I think Nike knew exactly what they were doing.
Yep.
However, I had a new thought today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. After talking about this for 3 straight days. There's an element of the Boston Marathon that I think I overlook because I am incredibly biased. I don't live in Boston. I only come here when it's the marathon, and I parachute in here and become part of this massive thing that takes over the city.
Yes.
If you're a Bostonian who doesn't care for running, of which there are many.
Oh,
Yes.
of course.
How do you feel when your entire city gets overrun with runners who always cut you off on the sidewalk, who stand in line everywhere at your regular institutions? Listen, I'm not saying that the Boston Marathon is too much of a hassle for it to happen. That would be an insane take, especially from me. But I think I've developed a bit of empathy for like the person who just wants to have a regular Sunday or Monday and now has to contend with like 100,000 new people who are just there and also who are antsy, nervous, sweaty. I've been one of them every other day. And like,
giving off that weird nervous sweat stink. Yeah.
I wonder, and I wonder. I'd be curious to hear from a Bostonian who's like, yeah, every year we just leave the city because it's intolerable for a couple days.
I don't think there's many of the. You grew up in Newton, you grew up on the marathon course.
Yeah.
And I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but because Boston is 130 years old and it's just a small enough big city that this big old race is such a part of the identity of the city. Can't believe that there are that many people in Boston who don't love this day. And it's a holiday. It's a
holiday. Everyone has a day off. They don't have to worry about getting into the city for work. Well, most people, I'm sure. And no one's going to make you try to come in on Patriots Day if you work in the city. And I remember as a kid, I mean, my family, we weren't even into running. You know, I played soccer, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
We went the mile to the fire station and went on the corner every year and watched the marathon. It's just what you do on Marathon Monday. Yes, Alex, I feel like when we were doing our shakeout run, for example, and, you know, we have this mass of people coming down the street, maybe not thinking to be further over on the sidewalk. I do think probably you get some frustration from some of the day-to-day people there, but I do feel like most of Massachusetts as a whole embraces the marathon. It's like part of us.
And that's good to hear. And that's what I hope to hear. Though I wonder, like, who is it that gets upset at these signs? Is there a person out there who's like, yeah, it's so exhausting to be here this whole weekend. I got to deal with all these runners, but I hope not because I'm one of them. So
And imagine Boston only has 30,000 runners. I mean, and that's a topic for another day, but imagine trying to increase the participants in Boston. Where would everyone go? Just us walking around on Newbury Street, going in and out of cafes and trying to find a place to eat. I mean, the place is packed.
So
Boston is packed.
I think we should talk about that because I'm looking at your Google screen.
Okay.
Boston Marathon state of the event check-in.
Yeah.
It's something we're going to want to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the marathon as a whole.
Yeah.
And where it's
The
at.
health of the marathon,
getting
where it's
better.
at. Its evolution. Is it being innovative still? Are you excited about next year? That sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that Boston may be asking itself the question of, should they get bigger?
I don't think they can.
But that's the thing. Can they?
Yeah, I don't think
Okay,
they can.
so here's like a little bit of not a conspiracy theory, but a speculation here. And I should give a hat tip to Amby Burfoot because he pinged me about this last week. And he was like, you know, there's an interesting thing that happened this year that's sort of not being talked about, which is that they changed the corral system and the wave system this year. They moved it to, I believe, 6.
I believe it's 6.
Yeah.
It was 6.
And there was some talk about consulting with crowd scientists for moving people through the course efficiently. And here's an interesting thought. All of these other events, and these majors are competitive with each other. All these other events, and also every participant is money, right? It's income to the city. It's income to the race. It defines the reason why the race needs to continue to exist. It's more charity money. It's just more money. Theoretically speaking, you could make an argument that maybe the reason for this change, for the wave change, maybe the reason why they're consulting with crowd scientists who knew that there was such a thing. There are such a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're thinking maybe they might want to get it up to like maybe not 50,000 or 60,000 like a London or New York, but could they manage 40? Could they manage 45,000? So I would not be surprised if you saw an increase in the field for 2027 or 2028. There is a huge friction point. I won't call it a problem or a crisis or anything too dramatic like that because I actually think it's part of Boston's brand. Because Boston is mostly a qualification-driven race, and they have huge demand, and they cannot fulfill that demand. And there's the qualifying times, and then there's the cutoff, and the nebulous cutoff. It's like, okay, the qualifying time is 2:55, but you got to run 2:49 to have a hope and a prayer to get in.
Yeah, it's not 30 seconds. You're talking 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
With that, they realize that there's huge demand, and they could fulfill that demand without watering down the product too much. Because creating that sense of exclusivity, you know, the BAA does this weird dance every year with all of us where it's like, on the one hand, it's all about inclusivity and this race is for everyone and we're the big grand original marathon and come for the weekend. It's amazing. This is what running is for everyone. But at the same time, the subtext is you got to qualify. This is fairly exclusive. It's the People's Olympics. We're turning people away every year in larger numbers. So maybe they think to themselves they might be able to expand this thing out by, 20%. That's a 20% influx in cash money, baby.
Yeah.
We shall see.
But would that change what Boston is? Boston is Boston.
It's
I don't know.
Very delicate,
to be careful.
delicate balance that they have to strike, right? Okay, so brand check-in time. It's like Alex your corner here.
There you go.
Brand check-in. And let's talk about brands on two planes here.
Okay.
Shoe brands, performance today. How did the brands do? Without going into winners and losers, because we already kind of did that with Adidas and Nike and so on. Who did well? How did the podiums look for super shoes? And overall, just pop-ups with activations with how did you feel brands hit with runners this weekend?
Okay, so there's been a loud and I don't want to say ineffective, loud and less effective Adidas, quiet, deadly Asics. Asics was under the radar all weekend. Their pop-up was nothing different from last year. They had a nice little basement on Newberry Street showcasing their shoes and their gear. All of it was quite nice. They had 2 stories. We went there and talked to one of their top shoe gurus, Paul Lang, who's always a really good hang. And
shout out to him. Really, really great guy and also very generous with his time and his insights.
And we'll have a full video and we're talking about shoes of the future. And what's fun with him is he can talk about Asics, but also just like general trends, where he sees the stuff going. And I spent a lot of time thinking about super shoes and I learned a million things in just these 10 minutes and got to chat with him. So that was cool. Asics wasn't being louder than they had to be. No guerrilla marketing. Actually, they did respond to Nike.
They did.
Fine. But who didn't at the end of the day?
Like they couldn't help themselves.
But really, they could back it up because at the end of the day, they won the podium today. Second, silver medal on the women's side and gold, silver on the men's side. So John Courier, Alphonse Simbu, and Lois Chemengong.
When's the last time Asics put 2 people on a world marathon major podium? I mean, maybe recent past they've done it, but I would say you go back a few years, you didn't see that happening with Asics. So they've put together a pretty good international roster.
Yeah. Zuhair Talbi as well, I should say, was running for Asics.
That's right. That's right.
It's like Asics is one of the winners. I think they might have had some prototypes on their feet. It's tough to tell just watching on the live stream. I'd say, Adidas we've talked about. Nike, it's hard to say because the thing with Nike is they have a really good stable of athletes. I actually think Nike kind of lost in a way, not so much talking about their marketing. I actually again think they knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to get people talking about Nike, and people talked about Nike more than any other brand at a major Adidas event.
That's right.
Yeah, it worked.
Right?
We were all talking about it.
Publicity is good publicity, as the old saying goes, right?
That's right.
And kudos to Charles Hicks because I think he carried Nike on it. Charles Hicks and Mary Noguchi Cooper carried Nike on their backs today. So Nike did all right in the results.
And then more other snapshots about brands. Puma showed out really well early on, but kind of rescinded into the background in the second half of the race.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I wonder if that's a microcosm of the Fast Star 3, which is very proven for me in the 5K and the half. Not sure if it's a full-on marathon shoe.
You're not the first person to say that too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a bulky shoe, right? So if you're a good efficient 4-foot striker, might work well for you. But in the later stages of the marathon, I don't know.
It's got that plate. One of the fascinating technical aspects of this shoe is it's a multi-layered 7-layered plate that hooks up over your toes and pokes out of the end of the shoe on the midsole. And so it's really all about flipping you rock forward, right? So, which would be kind of wild in that first 25K downhill. Okay. So Brooks, I think, showed out pretty well. Also, ultimately, Jess McLean delivered them a really big performance.
Yep.
She got a ton of screen time on the broadcast. top American woman. They had a really nice, they had a nice roster of athletes doing a lot of PR in the lead up to it. Obviously, Des Linden, friend of the show, she's like ageless. She ran 2:30.
2:35, I think, because she was pacing her husband.
She paced her husband, ran 2:35 like a couple weeks after, or not even a couple weeks after getting back from doing Marathon des Sables. She's a boss.
Yep.
And she did that. They did their live show. Her and Kara did their live podcast on Saturday night, a big theater, which is also a Brooks presentation. So, I mean, Brooks did pretty well.
Good pop-up.
Yeah. Yeah, the pop-up
I love
was
the
strong.
pop-up. That's something I mentioned the other night. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of fun stuff to
I think
do.
their pop-up may have been the best.
I think so too.
Overall.
I'd put Hoka up there in the pop-up game. It was pretty
I think
good.
for the people, though, because we have to think of it through two lenses, right? Through a media lens, we had one experience. And then it's like if you're a person here to run the Boston Marathon and experience this stuff, and you go to the Hoka pop-up versus the Brooks pop-up. I think the Brooks offered more to the average person.
You got to take photos. You got to make bracelets. They had a lot of stickers for everyone. They had candy.
They had music.
Live music. Yeah, it was a
very
total
relaxed.
experience.
And they had like a stretch area where they were professionally stretching people out, and
they had like a lot of activities, and I think that's
big
good.
space.
That's fun.
And they had some of the nicest swag as well. Some of the nicest gear that wasn't the Adidas official stuff.
Yeah,
it's always like a little sub battle that goes on between these brands. I would say one big takeaway for me from the pop-up scene, because Boston is it's the epicenter and the origin story of the pop-up phenomenon at World Marathon Majors. Kind of really the first place to do it. Tracksmith really was the innovator in this regard. Like 10 years ago, Tracksmith set up a shop. It was at the time on Boylston. I think it was 2016. And then they moved to the track house permanently in Newbury. And basically they kind of invented the pop-up. And they have like a massive lineup for people to get in. It was still kind of wild how many people were lining up in the rain to get into Tracksmith to get the stuff that you can only get there. But I would say ultimately, like, brands this year, little asleep at the wheel. It was just kind of like nothing wowing. Jessie, our news editor, has got all of her bags. She's headed for the airport. She just reported on the Boston Marathon. You killed it, Jessie.
Don't lose the bag on the way home this time.
Yeah.
She showed up to Boston without a bag.
And I'll see you in London.
And Jessie, we will see you in London in like 3 days. Yeah. Okay.
Jessie will message us her hot takes. Stay
good.
tuned because they're hot.
They are always flaming hot.
Brands asleep at the wheel.
It was just like there was no like wowing, clever activation that like it was like, oh, that was the big winner of the week.
Yeah.
Right?
As you piled on for a case for Brooks, I think I agree. I think they won the brand battle, maybe.
Yeah.
Asics won the performance battle. Nike was the most innovative. I think with that marketing, they knew what they were doing.
Innovative
you know,
actually, we're the most
not innovative
attention grabbing.
because they've done this before,
Scandalous.
so it's not innovative
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Although Saucony, man.
Nike Matt Choyed themselves to a successful weekend.
Enjoyed themselves.
Now that's a verb.
Yeah.
Saucony, I think, was sleeping a little. I think the sleeping at the wheel applies to Saucony. New Balance, just to like round out this. There's a big 9, okay? Like big 9 shoe brands. I think I'm conflicted about New Balance because apparently they do this cool like thing outside the city, and I'm so uninformed because like when we come to Boston, we stay in the city and they do it out of the city. So it's like the people who go to their thing
Must be amazing if you're there.
Yeah, but it's so out of the way. I feel like I haven't seen anything New
not
Balance.
Is it at the
part of-
headquarters or?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Which
I
is a
see.
cool facility.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they do this relay, but it's like a media and influencer relay. But you're like you're taken out of the magic of being in Boston on the weekend.
Got
so
We almost put a team in, but then we were like, well, we got some stuff to do here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
We're
would have loved to.
focused-
You guys know how much I love a relay.
We're focused on doing our job, but maybe next year. Maybe next year. I've never said I like a good relay too.
Yeah.
So yeah. On did okay this year. They had a couple of good athlete performances.
Yeah.
Ford and Klecker did really well. They had a good presence. They've got their light spray technology kind of rolling out in a more full retail way. It was very exclusive and impossible to get previously. Now they've got a trainer that's got the light spray, the robot weave on the upper. I've got a pair. I'll report back as to what they feel like.
And Under Armour came here, took the gold medal, and went home.
That's right. They like Under Armour. It's like they're like thieves in the night. They like sneak into Boston, steal a gold medal, and get the hell out of here, not to be heard from again until the fall when Sharon Lokedi runs again. So, what do you want to see change next year, and what do you want to see the same or run back or return?
Oh, I've got a same. The weather.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
the
great?
Weather is like today. If we can guarantee the forecast today, next year, I will definitely sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would like to see the same, although we have no control.
No.
I think I want to see more runners on the line. I think I want to see.
You want to see 40,000 people.
I think I want to see 40,000 people. I want Boston to open up their roster, open up their availability. I have a friend who joined our shakeout run, and he's a 255 guy, and he wants to qualify, but he doesn't know how fast. He's like, at one point, you're enamored by the fact that you don't know how fast you have to run to get into Boston.
Yeah, and it pushes you to run faster and or to injure yourself.
But then there comes a time where you just get frustrated, and I think he had reached that point.
Yeah,
and I think Boston needs to find a way to include more people, not to lower the standards. The fact the standards are fast is a very important part of Boston's secret sauce. But they need to find a way to get more people who have run standard to come here and race. And it's a logistics thing. It's probably a lot harder than it looks. If it wasn't, they would have done it already. But the fact that every marathon is growing means that Boston needs to find a way to grow too.
I just think about the start line and the beginning miles and how crowded it is.
Yeah.
And I think they would need to maybe think about starting the marathon earlier and spread people out a little bit
corrals.
more.
There were 5 corrals. Now there are 6. Make it 7.
Exactly. And push the start time up a little bit, maybe 8 o'clock, so then we can fit more people in.
Yo, that means we got to get up earlier though.
Oh man, don't know if I can do it.
Yeah. I think that I want to see different next year. I'd like to see a little bit more energy from brands. Okay, we've established this really neat strip of pop-ups outside of the expo. We've allowed Adidas and the other non-shoe sponsors to dominate the expo, and that is what it is. It's a little weird. It's a little kind of cold, but it does its job, the expo. And then Newbury Street has always been really neat and kind of a revelation, but it started to feel like it was waning a little bit this year. It's an opportunity, and here's my bold prediction. It's not next year. Nike is going to come out absolutely firing with some really cool concept around Boston weekend, and they'll steal the show in a innovative and hopefully for them, for their sake, positive way next year. They've never really done anything on the pop-up scene in Boston. They did release the Vomero 18 here last year. We didn't get the Vomero 19 here. A little bit of a surprise, although we knew it coming into it because we weren't getting any info on it happening. But not many shoes were released this year. You know, Adidas usually does the Boston. They skipped it this year. They didn't release a new shoe this year. We didn't formally get the Pro Evo 3 from Adidas either this weekend. We just got to see it in a box. And yeah, there was kind of like the sizzle was missing.
Like more reveals.
Yeah.
You want more reveals for next year. Okay.
Yeah. But what I do want us to stay the same is just man, people love this race. And it's like, it is just the craziest weekend.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's hard to top. It feels as big and as important as, say, the New York City Marathon, which is literally twice as many people. Mm-hmm. We're going to London in 6 days. It'll probably feel similar, quite frankly, even though London's going to be like 55, maybe 60,000 people too. So, I mean, Boston is obviously doing something really special, and you know they're both the grand dame of marathon running. You know, the oldest race continuously run in the world, but they're also a constant innovator and kind of like they're when you want to know where marathoning is at, it's Boston Marathon weekend. Last one for you guys. 2036. We're on a giant stage, 5,000 1,000 people watching our live watch along. No, we're here. We're covering it. Man, running is going to be weird in 2036, I imagine, although 10 years goes by quickly.
That robot who just ran a 50-minute half marathon is killing everyone on the course.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Robot Connor Mance. What's this 2026 Boston Marathon going to be remembered for in 10 years' time?
To be honest, the first topic of this podcast, which was the fast marathon, because even though I would like to say, let's have great weather next year, I don't trust Boston.
Highly
I don't trust
unlikely.
New England weather. This isn't going to happen for another 15 years. We're going to have to wait for another record in another 15 years.
totally
So
right.
John Career's record will still be standing, the Boston record.
Exactly. That's
Someone's
my
gonna
take.
have to break it.
I think you're right. I think that's a good read. It's probably going to be the course record in 10 years' time as well, and it'll still be referred to as the Fast Boston year.
Right.
Yeah. You got anything different?
Yeah. I think 2026 will be remembered as a key hinge point to an evening out of talent and performance between the East and the West that I think was really needed in the world of distance running. I think in the last 5 years, even 10 years, there were these times when it just felt like the East Africans were so fast and the Americans were so slow
It was
in
like
comparison.
2 races. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, not to stereotype, but what happened in the next few years? There's so many doping cases that came out of East Africa, and it's complicated over there. There are reasons why there's a lot of doping, and it usually doesn't come down to a personal choice. And there's doping.
Yeah, a lot of factors: the desperation, the money, corruption from people leading the sport that are coming from places outside of East Africa and taking advantage of people. I mean, there's a lot of nuance to it, but you're right. It was sort of like split into 2 worlds of running, and now you're starting to see this kind of global high performance perfect storm of incredible running happening and on display today. It's like, could you believe there's people there's men running 203, 204 that I would not have, nobody even knew about a few years ago.
So
Charles
they're
Hicks.
they're closing the gap.
Yeah, the gap is being
Yeah,
closed.
that's amazing.
And it's better for
And that's
the
good
sport.
for everybody.
It's good for the sport.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's big, and I think that in the future there will still be doping from everywhere.
Sure.
Hopefully less and less.
Hopefully nothing from this race.
Hopefully nothing from this race.
Oh, please, yes.
But I think that if 2027 and 2028 are more versions of 2026, where the gold medal is being hotly contested by 5 people of 5 different countries across the world, that puts us in a good place, in a better place.
Absolutely well
Yep,
said.
agreed.
And on that, we're going to wrap up this Instant Reaction podcast on Marathon Monday in
Wrap
Boston.
up a long
We just
weekend in
talked-
Boston.
We just talked for 5 hours, I think.
beat.
I am watching Alex as we speak, kind of shut down.
Feeling
I'm
over.
like losing my attention, and I have 24K to run.
You're going to be fine.
Oh, good
big
luck with
guy.
that.
Yeah.
This is why you're an endurance athlete. You're gonna
Yeah.
be fine.
Turn off the mind and turn up the
And
legs.
just go.
Turn up the legs. That's
And
where
on
we
that
are.
note, I'm going to go find my wife and give her a big hug because she ran today. So,
Hey.
Awesome.
all right. All right, gang. That's it for Boston. On to London.
On to
We'll have a
London.
preview podcast in a couple short days' time.
Sweet.
Should have recorded that one in advance.
What are you guys doing right now?
Yeah, really, though, we could do another hour. Okay. Until a couple of days from now.
Bye.